Hi folks, the January numbers are in and I'm so excited to be bringing you this report from our newest listings. It's a beautiful condo townhouse, recently renovated just a few months ago. The way you see the kitchen behind me is the way the rest of the home shows. It's big, over 1,900 square feet, plus a finished walkout basement. You'll love it. All the details, 35 photos, virtual tour are at 30adamscourt.ca. Have a look. Let all your family and friends know about it. Okay, let's talk about what's happening in the real estate world. When we look at the Market Watch report, and so this is all of Treb, all of the Greater Toronto area, when we compare January that just passed to January last year, we can see that sales are up slightly, 0.6%, and the average price is also up slightly at 1.7%. That's good news. We want to see things going up, up, and up. When we look at a little bit closer at what happened in Treb across the whole board, December to January, prices are actually very stable, down slightly 0.2%. You barely notice that. But I want to bring your attention to really the trend, what happened last year. Last year, January 2018 was the lowest average price of the year for all of the Toronto Real Estate Board. And prices are going up from then. It's going to be interesting if that's the same trend we stay on this year. When we look at all of Vaughan and we compare December to January, prices were slightly down, 1.9%. But when we look at January this year versus January last year, prices on average went up 4.1%, which again is good news. Prices are generally going up. Sometimes it's hard to predict month to month, but if you're like most people, you buy, you stay, you're not buying this month and selling next month, you're hanging on to your investment for a while. It's nice to see that the values are going up. But I bring your attention again to January. January last year had an average price of $908,000. It was very close to one of the lowest prices of the year, and prices went up from there. So very important, if the plan is to buy or sell, I would kind of be looking at the trend, although we can't predict for sure what's going to happen, but real estate generally behaves the same way. I'm so excited though that the stress test is behind us, all the government regulations are behind us. 2019 is a fresh year, so really let's see what happens. I put Vaughan and Treb here on the same chart, and I've had people say, well, why do you compare the two? Well, it's because I want you to bring your attention to the way the different markets react. And what we hear about, the headlines, the news, it's always about the Toronto Real Estate Board. It's always about all of the GTA, all of the MLS system. And they don't always behave the same way. So if you look at, for example, in May to June, Toronto Real Estate Board went up. And actually June was one of its highest prices for the year, average price across the whole board. However, the same period for Vaughan, we dropped from over $1 million down to $940,000 average price. So it's really important to look at your market, your neighborhood, what's going on in your community versus what's being broadcast out there. Anybody can give you information, but the insight in your neighborhood is really what's going to help you make the right decisions. So let's summarize Vaughan. Let's summarize this January to last January. Here we can see the sales are down 13%. Average price is up, and this is, let me just reiterate, for all home types. So it's an average of everything that happened in Vaughan. Prices are up 5%, fantastic. The months of inventory went up slightly to 5.4. What this means is when we look at the end of January, how many homes are available for sale, and we look at how many, the rate of sales we had in January, so how many sold, it would basically take us 5.4 months to sell all the listings we have on the market right now in Vaughan. So that's it might sound like a lot, but it's very much a balanced market. Active listings, though, is something that is really interesting. We are down 8%. We have less listings available for sale this January than we had last January. Now, this is something very important to keep an eye on, because if we think of supply and demand, there's less properties available for sale. It would logically kind of point to an upward pressure on prices, assuming we have the same amount of buyers that are looking. Now, I personally know a lot of buyers were affected last January with the stress test. They thought they were going to buy in January, February, and March, but with the new rules, they couldn't. So I know there's a lot of buyers that have taken the year to kind of organize themselves. That could mean there's more buyers now than we had last year, January, but that also could mean we had more listings January because they couldn't buy. So this is something that is going to be affecting price. Which way is difficult to tell right now, but you know we're going to keep an eye on it and we'll report back to you. Keeping in Vaughan, let's focus on detached prices. December to January, prices are down 4.5% for detached homes. The average price in January is way lower than a 2018 average price. But also, January, typically when we look back, it was the low point of the year and prices went up from there. When we look at semis, so we're going to go through the different home types, the average price in January is relatively close to the average price of 2018. Townhouses, the same thing. The average price in January is relatively close to what the average price for all of 2018 was. Check out condos. The average price in January was way above, more than $50,000 above what the average price was for all of 2018, which kind of makes sense. They're more affordable condos, it's easier to get into, so prices are going way up in condos. When we look at the different home types and we look at the months of inventory, if we look at detached, it says there 6.3 months of inventory, and it's kind of heading into just at the bottom end of a buyer's market. Well, we need to talk about this a little bit. Detached in Vaughan, you have your 800 to a million, 1.1 million detached, your low-end detached, and then you have your $2, $3, $4, $5 million detached. Let me tell you, this is a summary of all detached. If we were to break this down and talk about the high-end detached, the 1.8, 1.9, 2 million more, I can guarantee you that months of inventory would be much higher. You'd be more in a buyer's market. And if we focused only on the around $1 million detached, months of inventory would be lower. It'd still be most likely in a balanced market situation, not quite a seller's market, but there's far more pressure on those types of homes because people can get into them a lot easier than the more expensive. Look at semis. Semi-detached has months of inventory of 1.9. Very much a seller's market. If you've been looking for a semi, you're having a hard time, or most likely you're competing in multiple offers. What you need to do is tap into the hidden market. And now I'm advertising a little bit, but you need to find properties that are not necessarily on the market yet, and that's what I specialize in. So give me a call, I'll explain how the hidden market works, or go to VaughanMarketReport.ca. Let's take a look at some of the neighborhoods. Now, in my report that you can download at VaughanMarketReport.ca, there's far more material and information on that report than I'm talking about here. I talk about a whole bunch of the Vaughan neighborhoods, Vellore Village, Kleinberg, Islington Woods. I talk about them all. I'm zeroing in on two neighborhoods here, Patterson and Maple. Look at Patterson here, for example. The average price in January is above what the 2018 average price was. That's really good to know, especially if you're looking to buy or sell. And if we look at Maple, the average price in January is also above what the whole 2018 average price was. So we didn't get that big drop that we did in January. And actually, prices are up for both of those cities from December to January. There's a lot of things going on in the market right now. Hopefully the deep freeze is over and you can get out there, go to open houses, look at properties, put your property up for sale. If you have any questions at all on real estate, give me a call. Glad to help, answer all your questions. No obligation, there's no pressure. Just give me a call, we'll have a chat and we'll take it from there. What's gonna happen this year? My prediction, interest rates are not gonna change much. If they do, maybe up a little bit, but otherwise I'm expecting not a lot to change from where they are now. Prices, I'm expecting prices to creep up slightly as the year goes on. Again, I'm Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope this information gives you more insight than you would have had before you watched this video.